Hello, my name is Sydney. I'm excited today to present my thought process behind this project. Out of all the hands I drew with different mediums, I was particularly drawn to this gesture as you can see on the right. As simple as it looked, not only it offers a symbolism behind the gesture, but it also can be seen as a controlled, closed movement that leads to the pinky finger being the most free. The process I had in mind in creating my wire hand is to highlight the important moments such as keeping the pinky finger open and free from the rest of the fingers, but also keeping in mind on focusing on the knuckles and joints of the hand. These are the key terms that I attempted to study and evolve throughout my project. This includes spatial hierarchy or visual hierarchy, negative space, movement, shadow, and transparency. Drawing under the influence of light was definitely one of my biggest challenges. However, it gave me the opportunity to learn and take a closer look at my artifact to see what kind of shadow will be projected under different angles of light, and that these shadow can become more than just a shadow, but a creature itself. Moving on and viewing from a bounding box perspective, areas I wanted to highlight includes the joints and knuckles of the hand to explore the relationship that create this gesture. In addition to also discovering the vertical element that the artifact had, in which I found significant that the top finger aligned it with the wrist. Since my wire hand is a bit flat, and for my corner study, I wanted my bounding box to have a dominant yet simplistic corner that can offer some details of the box itself. I want to have a stabilized ground of my box, so I decided to move forward with a flat ground rather than a column being extended out. On the left is my initial design iteration. My design approach was a box within a box or a frame within a frame approach. I don't want my box to be used only to hold the artifact, but also to frame views where I want my artifact to be seen. However, I was given the perspective to offer movement since my hand has a hinge on it and that could potentially move with my box. This led to the design on the right. Here the second box is the movable component and it will move vertically along with the hand attached to it, and these columns serve as the extension of the moving box. With the addition of movement, I believe it will help me explore the potential shadow that my artifact can create. This is the updated version of my box assembly as well as my GIF. I made many adjustments while creating my box, and some of the challenge I faced include creating a steady and smooth movement of my second box and adding locks to secure those movements. It was a lot of trial and error. My top corner initially lacked the detail, so I decided to replace it with a different wood to match the bottom corner, but change the position of it to offer contrast. The box on the left is the fixed position, while the box on the right is the position after the movement was made. As you can see, I used some part of my frame to serve as a viewfinder to highlight some areas of the hand. These are some up-close details of my box, and these include corners and frames of the box. For my cladding proposal, I used multiple layers to show transparency in the shadow. I also use it as a way to show the sequence of view to my artifact. My method to add the cladding includes the use of bending staples and sewing method to show highlighted areas and layered areas and also movement. Attaching the cladding has unexpectedly offered new scenarios. Throughout the process, I discovered a conflict between my movement and cladding. I either had to move on without my movement or without part of my cladding. It was a lot of working with trial and error. However, although it would be nice to add the movement of the frame and artifact, I believe it would make some of my areas of cladding no longer useful in emphasizing the areas of importance. I decided to move on by keeping it in a fixed position to show, more importantly, the contrast of the different shadow my artifact projected using the different layers of vellum I added. Although part of my frame is no longer movable, I use sewing as a method to show movement to my corners. Here on the left, you see a small part that expresses rhythm leading to my corner. On the right, you can see the opening of the vertical elements within my artifact as well as the negative space to question the viewers if the artifact exists. I use two different light sources. Challenges include finding the right position for the shadow to be projected where I want it to be projected. Unlike my studies on shadows earlier where I was able to control my lighting more freely, here lighting is very limited within my box boundaries. However, this does not stop me from exploring the potential shadow it casts from a distance. Here you see the focus of the joints on the left. In the middle, you see different shades of shadow that contrast one another. In the right picture, you see the vertical elements that align with my wrist and upper hand. For my section drawing, I use different shades to highlight the different areas and cuts of my box. Definitely one of my favorites. I also learned that in a section drawing, I should not cut through columns. This is my procession view along with the pedestal that holds my box and artifact. I wanted my enclosed area to be useful and interactive with my scale figures. Along the wall is seats that the scale figure can use to sit on and view the artifact from a sitting point of view. I had different level of elevation around my pedestal to allow scale figures of all height to interact with the artifact. There is a hole within the pedestal to allow scale figures to use, for example, their phone light to interact with the artifact and uncover their own shadow. This is meant to be a user-friendly space. Thank you for your time.